Kia ora everyone, welcome to this Empire Technology Review. I'm your resident tech and gaming guy Dave, and this week we are taking a look at a laptop. It is another Hewlett-Packard offering, the Spectre X360 2019 edition. It is out of the box rocking a Core i7-8750H, which is 2.2 gigahertz hexa core with 12 threads, and it turbo boosts up to 4.1 gigahertz for single-threaded applications. That is combined with 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory and a 256 gigabyte SSD, although I have been checking it out online and you can get it spec'd with a 512 gigabyte SSD as well, so that's worth bearing in mind. It is a X360 model, which means that it is not only a fully functioning laptop, as you would expect, but with the simple fold around action, you can obtain a tablet. It does many good things. I like what it does. It's very striking to look at. If you were to start off with it, this is a beautiful laptop. My wife was a particular fan of it. It is really well built. It's an aluminium unibody. I don't know if it's a unibody. It's got some bits at the bottom here, but it is a metal case through and through. It's actually got some enhanced cooling here, and it's got dual side exit exhausts for the CPU and the GPU cooling, because this 15.6-inch 4K screen model is also packing an NVIDIA GTX1050 Ti with 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory as a sort of a bit of a bonus, which means that whilst it is not going to blow your socks off and it cannot do things like run VR, it is able to do light gaming and other GPU intense tasks such as video editing and rendering, heavy image manipulation. It can even manage some CAD work. Now, when you pair that with the 4K screen that this machine offers, it starts to become a really compelling offer to those premium users who might not be gaming focused, like designers, people who might traditionally have picked a MacBook Pro for their work. So that's a really tough crowd. It's worthwhile exploring whether or not this has the entire package to be able to measure up against that crowd. So let's explore this laptop a little bit. At the back, as you would expect, there are no ports, and that is quite simply because this thing folds all the way around, and that means that there is only hinges here. If you had anything plugged into it when you folded it around, those things would break, and we do not want that. It has some sharp angular edges here, a 45-degree angle, in this case hosting a USB-C or Thunderbolt port, a second USB-C or Thunderbolt port, a USB Type-A port, and then I believe this is the Kensington lock space where you can secure the laptop. Oh no, that is the camera on-off switch. I forgot about that actually, that's quite a good thing to have. And then you've got then you have the exhaust for one of the two exhaust fans of this laptop here. Now, anything else there? Oh yeah, micro SD card reader, because a full-size SD card reader is no longer convenient for laptops, I guess. Even a big 15.6-inch 4K screen one. But regardless, they have chosen to go with a micro SD card reader only. So be aware of that if you are used to transferring images from full-size SD cards for things like video cameras and many other types of things that use full-size SD cards. Flipping around to the other side, on this little angular notch you have the power button, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's quite cool and innovative and it lights up when you push it in. However, right next to it you can see the power supply and the HDMI output for this. And yes, I have both plugged in a power lead and a HDMI lead and turned off this laptop at least once. So you've got the other side exhaust a little further down and the combined headphone and microphone jack as well. So not going to say a robust and excessive amount of ports, but certainly everything that you would need to get the job done, especially when you consider that those two Thunderbolt ports give you a great deal of options in being able to expand the number of ports that you have. USB-C 3.1 gives you a lot of bandwidth and the ability to plug in many accessories. So if you were worried about the amount of ports available from this thing out of the box, when you're using it as a laptop and you're on the go, you can plug in your headphones and a mouse, which, let's be honest, is pretty much what you need when you've got the rest of the stuff in the machine itself. The bottom of the laptop is fairly Spartan. As you can see, it is mainly the intake for the two fans. The fans themselves are a good size. They put out quite a lot of air. When it's under full load, it's still not particularly loud, which I quite like about this laptop. My other laptop is a Gigabyte Aorus 15-inch thing. It's got an RTX 2070. It does have the same CPU and memory capacity that this has, although it does have a slightly larger SSD and a secondary hard drive. But I digress. This thing is whisper quiet compared to the other laptop. I can in fact use this in the same room that my wife is watching TV in, and it does not inconvenience her. And that's a good thing. Opening up the laptop, we have, as you would expect, a shiny 4K screen and a reflection of all of the gear I have set up to record this video. Not only that, you've got two infrared cameras up the top and a webcam with dual microphones. The infrared cameras are important for Windows Hello functionality. You can set it up so that it takes a quick view of your face and will unlock the machine locally if it is you. I have tried to see whether or not it could be fooled with a picture of me taken by a phone. I am happy to report it is not, because it has the two cameras, which allows for depth perception to occur on your facial recognition. That is a win. Also, for the other Windows Hello feature, it does have a fingerprint reader on the laptop itself. I found this to be particularly snappy and responsive. I don't know whether it was Windows or the hardware or a bit of both, but it's good and I liked it. The keyboard itself is a nice chiclet backlit offering. It's nice to type on. It's quite clicky and good, and it does all the good things. It is not switched in any way, shape or form. It is a fairly standard scissor lift operated keyboard, but the key travel is pretty good and it is a good size. I didn't find my fingers tripping over themselves too often when I was trying to type on it. So yeah, winning all round. The screen itself. This is a 4K backlit panel. It's lovely. It looks super crisp and nice and good. And my only complaint from the screen itself is that it can ghost a little. So when you move the mouse very quickly, or if you are going to be doing some gaming, oh look, applying updates. If you are going to be doing a little bit of gaming on this, you may notice a slight blurriness to extremely fast movement. But I'm going to level with you, this is still not a gaming focused machine, although as I mentioned it is capable. Hang on a minute, infrared camera. Looking for me, making sure it's me, logged in, look at that, that was very quick, wasn't it? Aren't we happy with that? As I was saying, this is not a gaming focused machine. If you are looking to do gaming first and foremost, then you should consider alternatives. Whilst this is capable of delivering gaming outcomes for you, I certainly wouldn't expect it to be able to run the latest and greatest AAAs at maximum settings and get reasonable frame rates. Certainly not at a native 4K resolution. If you're willing to make some compromises, it can still be competent. Oh look, it's trying to log me into Steam. So we're going to talk about the build quality of this laptop very quickly. Overall, it's really nice. I like it. It's metal, it's aluminium, it has a very shiny screen, it has Corning Gorilla Glass on the screen as well, so it's lovely and tactile, and it supports 11 points of touch, so you can tap away to the screen to your heart's content. That's not a problem at all. The trackpad, I'm not such a fan of. Now, it's a Synaptics trackpad as opposed to the Microsoft offering, which it's marginal, but it's not quite as nice. And whilst it supports all of your sort of your two-finger scrolling and those type of dynamic movements that you just are used to using on trackpads now, hopefully, it's also recessed. It's not flush with the top of the laptop, which makes it it's not quite as nice. I'm just, yeah, not a huge fan if I'm honest. apart from that, the only other complaint I have is that the screen's a wee bit wobbly, and I'll just demonstrate that now. See, it's a little bit easy to do, but then it's a hinged, you know, X360 laptop. It folds around, it does many things. So, and for the most part, it's not bad. It's just, I think it could be a bit better. But then, you know, it does fold around and become other things. When you fold it around, it does, thankfully, have a reasonably well thought out approach to that. It has a little rubber bit on the back that it rests on, so you're not pushing up against the air intake, so that all works very nicely still. It's good at what it does. It's well thought out and well designed for the most part, but there are a few small things which are suboptimal. Right, let's talk performance. So day to day, this thing performs exactly as you would expect for something with an 8th generation Core i7 hexa-core processor and 16 gigs of DDR4 and an M2 SSD by Intel. It's quick, it boots up quick, it's very responsive, it is every bit as well optimized as any other top of the line offering, which is great. It's exactly what you want. Now, I believe that the 13.3 inch also has the same basic internals. However, the 15.6 inch laptop has the benefit of having a discrete NVIDIA 1050 Ti graphics card, which is on the NVIDIA Optimus fast switching. So when you're doing your day-to-day stuff, you get excellent battery life from this laptop, which is something that I do need to point out. This thing, after a day's use, is still above 50% battery. Now, obviously I've not been doing hard out gaming on it, but you know, that's just, you'd still get at least 2 to 3 hours out of it, even if you were trying to do that. What you do get is you get a lot of general purpose usage out of this laptop on a single charge. Really impressed. So the 1050 Ti has 4 gigabytes of DDR5. It is able to deliver reasonable frame rates in a number of games. I would suggest that you don't try and play your modern AAA titles through it at full whack. It will not cope very well with that. Certainly when placed against other GPUs, such as the RTX 2070 or a desktop 10 series, it's not going to handle it as well, but I did find that I could still enjoy a number of titles on this laptop at good frame rates. I've been replaying Borderlands 2, and this was able to smash that at 1080 without any kind of problem. And the fans didn't become excessively loud in doing so. So, you know, it was a bit of a win all round for me in that respect. If you angle it well, you can of course play video games on this laptop. I would suggest that if you did want that discrete graphics capabilities, you have to look at the 15-inch model as opposed to the 13-inch model. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this laptop's purpose and what it is and what it is not, because my wife, who has been listening to this whole review that I've been recording, has quite rightly pointed out that I have been comparing this to a gaming laptop, and this is not the purpose of this machine. This is a machine that is more designed for people who are both technology and style conscious. It is a beautiful laptop. It is well designed, you know, it has a very distinct look. It has a lot of capability under the hood in terms of, you know, CPU, memory, SSD, and in the larger 15-inch model, it also has that discrete GPU. As soon as I hear the word discrete GPU, my brain goes into gaming. However, really that GPU is there to support some design capabilities, graphic designers with things like Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, video editors with a 4K screen and a discrete GPU for accelerated rendering. Even things like CAD, it has a hexa-core, 12-thread, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 pairing under the hood in this machine, and it has multiple fans delivering a good thermal flow as well. It is a capable machine. when I remove the gaming context from this, because whilst it can do that, it's not what it's designed for. I do believe that this is a compelling alternative to a high-end laptop such as a MacBook Pro. It's similarly priced to both a gaming laptop and something like a MacBook Pro at close to 3,400 New Zealand dollars at the time of this review. It is also a really nice looking laptop. It's metal, it is aluminium, it has distinct copper highlighting, it's got some cool angular touches to it, which I'll admit the power button isn't placed very well, but there's a lot to like about this machine. If I remove gaming from the context of this review and give it a score based on the other merits that this laptop has, I think I can safely say that it's an 8.5 out of 10. That is based on all of the things that I do like about it. The hardware, the screen, the keyboard, the design, the aesthetic, and then factoring in some of the things that I am less impressed with. And that is simple stuff. It's the trackpad, it is the ghosting that you get on the screen, but you only notice it when you're moving the mouse at high speeds or trying to game on it. And of course, limited gaming capability on the laptop. It doesn't have a huge number of flaws. So 8.5 I think is a really good score for this machine. Its biggest problem is going to be its place in the market when compared against things like specific gaming laptops or MacBook Pros. Those are two very strong offerings already in the marketplace, and you can find similarly spec'd laptops which also have, you know, your fold around sort of hybrid capability for less money. In that respect, the 13.3 inch version of this laptop is considerably cheaper and worth investigating if you are not concerned about a discrete GPU. They both have the same set of internals in the 8th generation Core i7 processors and DDR4 and SSD. So your general performance is identical in pretty much every respect. It's only going to be where you get into those GPU intensive tasks that you may notice a drop in performance. So there you have it. Here is Hewlett Packard's 2019 Spectre hybrid laptop, available for purchase in New Zealand now. And if you like this review, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Do like, comment, favorite, subscribe. Do all of those good things that we would ask you to do as part of being the YouTube conscious social media superstars that we are here at the Empire New Zealand. And feel free to hang around on the channel and check out some of our other videos. Nick does cars, I do video games and other technology, including TV and other laptops. Some of them are even gaming focused. There you go. So if this is, however, your last video with us here today on the Empire, then I have been Dave, your resident technology and gaming guy. You have been on the Empire New Zealand, and I will see you